Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to iTREND on ITV. I'm your host, Zaheerah Bham Ismail. Today is International Women's Day, and while I don't think we need a day to be celebrating, because every single day is something to be celebrated, it's a day to acknowledge strong women, women that support each other, women that empower each other, and women that build each other up. Because once we put women at the forefront, we know we can do anything. There's a great African saying that says, when you strike a woman, you strike a rock. And that already tells you about the resilience that we as women have and the power that we as women hold. So what better day today than to start our show with a dynamic, strong woman, a woman who's been in the forefront of blogging, who's been in the forefront of telling us how to do things, where to do it, when to do it. And she started years ago before anyone else did. The very famous Rowena Saluji. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Rowena, everyone knows you famously for your blog Secrets and Stilettos. This was something I know I've been following for many, many years, but you're really young. Why start this? How did you even start the journey?
So I started back in 2011 when I matriculated in 2010. My mum, I actually wanted to first study occupational therapy. And my mum was like, well, you can, but take a gap year and decide what you really want to do, because throughout your life, you've always been interested in fashion. I mean, I used to make my own clothes if I couldn't find it in South Africa, and I would constantly do things related to fashion. So she said, take a gap year. You've just matriculated, and then decide what you want to do. So in that gap year, I decided to start just a Facebook page where I share like my own beauty tips, my own fashion tips. And when I started at Lysoft, which is fashion school, they actually encouraged us to start a blog, and I did, and I absolutely loved it, and I continued from there. So that was 2012.
Fantastic. And for those that don't know, we've tried to get Rowena on the show from the time the show has started. So for us, it's a huge day to have her here, and very significant that you're with us on Women's Day to celebrate that as well.
Thank you so much.
Whenever I followed you, the one thing that has stood out for me is you've been very supportive of other women. And I know that being in the space that you're in, I have no doubt that you get a lot of criticism and undue flack that comes your way, but you've always managed it with such dignity and with such grace. And I always admire that, because I think to be that young and to be able to still have that resilience is remarkable. So where does your strength come from?
I think that my strength comes from, like you said, from women all around me. I'm so grateful that I have so many women in my life that are constantly supportive, be it friends, my sister, my mom. I always have, you know, an incredible network of women who are always encouraging me, telling me that I can do it. And whenever I want to limit myself, they're like, no, but you can, and you're good at this. And, you know, it's easy to get down on yourself and say like, you know, maybe someone else is better at it. And they're just like, no, but you can do it. You your own limit. And like you said, women are the ones that are behind me.
That's amazing. And the one thing that I love also about it is that despite how many other blogs and sites that we see coming up, yours has still always remained very authentic and very real, and it's always developing. It's always something new, something you've tried, something that you've said to people, this works for me, why don't you try this as well? It's not just, this is an advert and here you go.
I've always wanted to be authentic, and I've always wanted to be relatable. That was the main purpose of my blog from the onset. I've wanted to always dress relatably. I wanted to always use products that are affordable. Even if I share high-end products, it's something that I must really, really believe in. And now with like the change, and you know, people are recognizing bloggers, so they're wanting to pay bloggers for you know, for content. And I don't think that there's a problem with that, because I mean,
there's a space for that as well.
Of course.
Absolutely.
But I think the important part is to, if you want to get paid for something, be paid for something that you believe in. Don't just, you know, use a product for the sake of, you know, getting paid. If you truly believe in it and you're getting paid for it, it's a bonus.
But that's exactly what I loved about it, because at the end of the day, I think people don't understand blogging is a job. It is a full-time job. It takes a lot from you as it is. I mean, I struggle just putting up pictures on, and my social media is literally just, for me, it's social media. Yeah. But it is a tough job. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And I watch you putting up these videos, and I can imagine the time taken in it. But that's what I still love about it, is you're always true to what you feel and whether you think it's real. So whether paid or not, I love the fact that it's always about how you feel and how you've reacted to it, which is wonderful. But your blog has obviously grown from 2011 to where it is now. And we've seen you develop over the years. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, like I said, I started with a Facebook page, and then I moved on to an actual blog. And, you know, when I first started, I would approach companies and be like, hey, do you want to work together? Or, you know, can you dress me for an event or something? And they'd be like, who are you? I don't know, what's this blogging thing? It was very new to South Africa. And now, like, I'm so grateful that we are so much more recognized because, you know, there are more bloggers and, you know, everyone's like, oh, everyone's a blogger. But it's amazing. I mean, if you feel like you have a platform where you want to share, you know, personal style, beauty, writing, whatever it is, then go ahead. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And like I said, it's developed a lot, and I think Instagram has definitely boosted blogs a lot. Where it's given us more of a platform to share like our everyday life and, like you said, behind the scenes, and you know, just a little bit more about ourselves.
So for those that are watching that want to be in a blogging space, how easy or how difficult is it? Because I think people underestimate the time that goes into that. Because I watch a lot of your live videos when you're doing it. Sometimes I watch it a lot later, but it takes a lot from you. So for people who think that it's very easy, it's just something you switch on your camera, you take a picture and you post it up. What is the story behind the time and the effort behind this?
You know, for me, it was never only about the pictures, because I'm inherently a very good writer, and I've always wanted to have a blog specifically for writing as well. So for me, it's like, you know, taking the time out to take the pictures, which is like a task in itself, because you have to find a location, you have to find clothes, you have to get someone to take the pictures for you, you know, and then make sure that you get the right shot, and then go through all of the pictures, figure out which ones are the right ones, and then still write a whole story about it and explain why you like this or why you put these items together. So most of the time it's like a 2-day process where it's not just, you know, take a picture and then, you know, next thing you have a blog. It's a lot of effort. And if you want to have a good quality blog, you know, that's how you're going to stand out. Where if you make the effort to have good pictures and good writing, that's how you're going to succeed. And I think the other thing with new bloggers is that they kind of expect overnight success. And it's easy because in this day and age, it's very easy to kind of get like that Insta fame, where people are like, you know, suddenly all over social media and very popular. But I think that if you want to have that longevity and if you want to be like an everlasting name, you have to put in the effort and you have to give it time. That start somewhere and start small, but let it grow organically.
And that's what I love about your blog as well. It's content filled. It's not just a fly-by-night story. It's a lot of meat, things that we can use. I mean, the other day I was watching Rowena and I thought I actually need to get my 13-year-old daughter to start watching it, because there's certain things that you talk about, whether it's skincare or hair care, that I think all of us can benefit somewhere along the line. And it's little tips and tricks that we may have forgotten. And as much as we think we're young, we are a huge generation away. And I think kids can relate, especially our younger girls coming into their teen years, can relate so easily to you because you make things so real and so practical and so easily accessible for all of them as well.
You know, that's also been one of my aims to, like always, be accessible, but also just sort of serve as an inspiration to younger women, because I think that we're very short of good role models.
Absolutely.
And while I don't see myself as a role model, I do think
that you are.
Thank you. I do think that it is important to, you know, like carry yourself in a way where someone might say, okay, well, I'll allow my daughter to read her blog because, you know, she dresses appropriately, or she has a lot to offer and she's not over the top in any way. So I think it is important, because I do know that there are a lot of young eyes on me. So it's important to be responsible as well as a blogger. And
I think that, again, it shows the amount of wisdom that you have and insight you have into that, because I think we do forget that often in terms of the expectations, or that people are watching you and what they see. And I think it's so lovely to have strong Muslim women around us that we can say, wow, look at these women, and this is what our kids can look up to and take strength from as well. And the one thing, Rowena's got a fabulous mum that I met this weekend, and I said to her, I absolutely admire this generation of young ladies, because not just Rowena, but all her peers as well, everybody's just always so well put together. They've got so much to offer, and it's not just about beauty on the outside, but it's beauty on the inside as well, because they have the world at their feet, and yet they're giving back, and yet they've got a lot to offer all of us. So it's fabulous, and I know that you guys will do so much more from here as well.
Thank you.
Rowena, you've also grown quite a bit, not just we talked about the Facebook page, the blog, the Instagram page, and I know companies are always approaching you. Recently, we're going to speak a little bit after the ad break about the skincare and the hair. But I know that you've also got into your own business range as well. How did you decide to start up into business also?
So It's actually so funny. When I was in grade 11, I've always wanted to start a swimwear business because as Muslim women, we're very limited in terms of stylish but covered swimwear.
Yes.
And, you know, something that's good quality. Because if you go into a store, it's always like, you know, very skimpy sort of swimwear. And you're limited to like maybe longer shorts and like a t-shirt, which I found very unattractive in, especially if I am in the fashion industry. I want to look a little bit prettier. So I wanted to start it back in grade 11, and it just never worked out. And alhamdulillah, I met well, now my best friend Rahab, and she studied fashion design, and she studied like, you know, garment construction and everything. And the one day I was actually reading a story on Huda Beauty and how she started, and I was so inspired that I actually messaged her and I was like, listen, I think it's time. I think that we need to start this swimwear range. And she was like, it's about time. You know, it's been so many years. So we decided to start a brand called La Rose Swimwear, and it's for like modest, so it's a mix of like both completely covered modest swimwear and also like semi-modest, where if you like maybe on the journey towards you know, hijab and just dressing more modestly, you still have something that you can wear. I always tease and say it's like something that you can wear in front of your in-laws, you know, something very very conservative.
And that's exactly what it's about. I think it's catered so well for the Muslim woman, and that's what I love about your page and your blog and your businesses, is that you understand the younger generation, but you're also tapping into understand Muslim women in general.
No, definitely. And I think that now's the time to include our Muslim women. And there are many brands that are being very inclusive of Muslim women, which is amazing. And, you know, it just goes to show this revolution that's happening.
Absolutely. Stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to be discussing skincare and hair care with Rowena Saluji from Secrets and Stilettos. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And we're chatting to the very dynamic and fabulous Rowena Saluji from Secret and Stilettos. Rowena, we've been talking about your journey, how other people can get involved, how people do this blogging journey. And off air, we spoke a little bit about how dynamic Rowena's mum and sisters are. Because to be able to say to your child and to your sibling, travel this journey wherever it takes you, wherever your heart desires, and to be supportive of it is something that's absolutely remarkable.
No, definitely. And I do have a very supportive family. Like my mom always encouraged me to do what I want to do, not what the norm is doing. And alhamdulillah, I have a sister that does that as well. And, you know, she's also very encouraging always. And she's always been an inspiration to me.
Alhamdulillah. Rowena, I know that I could have you here for a few shows, because I keep saying there's so many things that she does that I feel we need to keep getting her back for. But for now, I wanted to talk about something that I saw on your page during the December holidays, was about the skincare, and then a little bit about the hair care, if we can get into that now. But I know with skincare, whenever many of us are traveling, and I know school holidays are imminent now in March, and then the April holidays for private schools, but when many of us are traveling, we're not exercising the way we need to, we're not eating the way we need to. It's difficult to lug all our products around everywhere we go. And skincare does become a huge strain. And I know many people come back from holiday saying, my skin's taken an absolute knock this holiday. But when I watched your page, you made it seem so easy.
You know, I learned the hard way. Because my sister lives in Dubai, I travel to her quite often, and the water there is shocking. You know, it definitely messes with your skin, and it's a real thing. Like, different altitudes and everything, it does affect your skin. So with me, what I found was that having a really good moisturizer definitely made the biggest difference. But also having a proper 3-step routine and actually making the effort to stick with it, because I know on holiday you're so lazy at the end of the day. You've had such a long, fun-filled day that you don't want to have like a long routine. So just keep it to the basics, but you have to have the best quality products and, you know, what really works for you.
So in terms of choosing those products, I know that, you know, there's a wide range. Off air, we spoke a little bit about younger girls that are in their early teens, the products that they would utilize, and also for older women, what products we would end up utilizing.
So I'm a huge advocate for natural skincare. So I love using products that are natural, or even if I'm making it by myself.
See, there we go.
So, you know, something like an exfoliator, if you don't have one on hand, it's as easy as just using a little bit of bicarb or a little bit of sugar and some honey, and, you know, using that as an exfoliator, and obviously being very gentle on your skin because it is natural. But you know, you're not limited to, you know, having the best, most expensive products. It's sometimes also just what's in your pantry.
See, that for me is remarkable, because I know many of our mums will talk about having those home remedies before, and these days we're so quick into having these fast fixes that we don't realize the benefits of actually just utilizing what you have.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, you know, if we look at what our grandmothers used to use and our great-grandmothers, they always used, you know, things like turmeric and, you know, chenna flour, things like that. They would always use ingredients like that. And they always somehow managed to look very young. Yeah. So, I mean, there is benefit in using, you know, things in your pantry.
Your skin's absolutely amazing. Every time I see you, it just looks perfect, mashallah. And then even when you're traveling, what are those tips and tricks for people who are traveling long distances, who are getting onto those flights where the skin is going to be taking a bit of a knock?
So if you are on a long haul flight, I do recommend, you know, if you can, use a mask. I know sheet masks are all the rage at the moment, but it's very daunting. If you're sitting next to someone, you don't want to be wearing a sheet mask. It's like you'll take it with you and you'll be like, no, I can't do it. So, you know, there are other masks that are available that, you know, might be like where it just absorbs into your skin and maybe you have to wash it off after 10 minutes, where it's not a color, it might be clear. So, you know, look at things like that. And the number one thing that you need to do is make sure that you're hydrated and that your skin is hydrated. Because with flights, you tend to get very dry. Even if you have oily skin, that doesn't mean that your skin isn't necessarily dry. So you definitely need to have look for products that have ingredients that are hydrating and things like brightening and, you know, things like that. That always is a benefit on a flight.
Alhamdulillah, I think that's a good tip to have. I must say, I haven't tried the mask yet on a flight, but I'll look forward to doing that.
Definitely.
When it comes to being in places with different temperatures, does your routine change, or does it relatively stay the same with your three-step process?
So it does change because, you know, hot weather, when you're in an environment where there's hot weather, you don't want to be wearing a very heavy moisturizer. Whereas like if you're in a cooler environment, you can get away with having something that's like a little bit thicker. So for me, I tend to have two different types of moisturizers. If I'm going to a warmer environment, then I like to have a gel moisturizer because that's it absorbs very quickly and you don't end up feeling sticky because it's already so hot. Whereas if you're going to a cooler environment, you want something a little bit more thick, a little bit more buttery or oily, and you know, something like that that's going to like nicely hydrate your skin.
Okay, but like you're saying, the tip is also to make sure we're drinking a lot of fluids and waters to make sure that we are staying hydrated.
Definitely, because I think that's something that we forget, especially when we're on holiday. We tend to forget to take water with us or even order water, and we get so hydrated, and then that obviously takes a toll on your skin. So drinking a lot of water does make a huge, huge difference.
Perfect.
But also, you know, things like using items or using products that do hydrate your skin will definitely make a difference.
Fantastic. Very recently, when we were watching your Instagram pages, you were involved in this hair campaign and the products looked absolutely amazing. So for many of us that are in hijab, our hair takes an absolute knock. It's constantly falling out. We're having issues with dry hair. What are your tips and tricks along with that journey that you'll be able to share with us?
I've heard this before. I know that with hijab, your hair does take a toll. And I know that a lot of girls and a lot of friends that I have, a really bad thing that they do is that they'll get out of the shower, they'll just put their hair up and then put their scarf on.
That's exactly what I've done today.
You see, and so that's probably why like your hair also takes a bit of a knock. You need to just give it like a few minutes to just quickly like dry out, even if it's like 10 minutes, because it just prevents breakages and things like that. And one thing that I personally use, whether I'm wearing a hijab or not, or if my hair is open, I always use an oil. And not necessarily, I don't necessarily oil my hair all the time, but you know, there's many oils on the market at the moment where you can use it after your hair has been washed. And I think that makes such a big difference because it actually strengthens your hair so much more.
And do you find that in terms of finding the right oils, how do we know where to even start? I know there are many old age remedies that our mums used to sit. I know my mum would sit weekly with the coconut oil and I hated the smell of it. But are there specific oils that we need to be looking out for that would help us?
So if you do want to use like, you know, a market related oil, there are many brands that do offer it. But if you want to use something like a little bit more natural without the synthetics in it, I would recommend argan oil,
Okay.
because it is one of the best oils that is like for hair. And it does, like, the added benefit is that it helps with hair growth. Although if you're using an oil, you want to stick to the ends. You don't want to put anything on your roots so that your hair still looks fresh, but sleek.
I like that tip. Just keep it on the roots and keep it there. With colouring of the hair and that, does that affect the hair in terms of utilising all of this? I know some of the products you were using were the anti-frizz products and that. Are those actually effective?
I think that they are. I think that you have to find something that's suitable to you. And I think as a blogger, I'm very fortunate because I get to use like a variety of products. So I get to test out a lot of them and see like what really works for me. But I think like as an average consumer, you don't have that opportunity to constantly try products. Although I do think that you should like maybe get a hair analysis, whether it's your hairdresser that can do it for you, so that she can tell you exactly what your hair texture is like, whether it's dry, whether it's oily, whether you have frizz, whether it's curly, you know, things like that that you might not necessarily pick up on. It's so important to have a hair analysis and then figure out which products work for you.
I think that's a good idea, and this is something I'm sure everyone will be booking in the next few weeks.
Definitely.
Rowena, your favorite products for skincare for young girls to start with, and then ladies in their 20s, and then older ladies as well?
So, like I said, I love sticking to natural products, and when you're a young girl and you know, the problem is that you could like go through hormonal acne and things like that. And the number one thing that I find that would make a huge difference, and something that we all skimp on, not only young girls, is that when we make wudu, we don't ever moisturize again. It's something that we never ever think of. You know, you just like quickly make wudu and then you continue with your salah. But it's something that you really, really should be doing. And moisturizing after you've washed your face makes the biggest difference. And I think that's also one of the reasons that now I can say that my skin has cleared out quite a bit, because, you know, just that little bit of extra moisturizer.
A good point to know.
And as you're getting older, and especially in your 20s, something that I highly recommend is microneedling. And it's something that I just recently started. I only started it last year. And I thought my skin was in like decent condition. And only after I used it, I was like, wow, that is amazing. So it's definitely something that I recommend, especially when you're getting into your 20s. You don't have to do it all the time. You can do it as often as you can afford. But it's something that I think that you should save up for and, you know, definitely do. It helps with like, you know, things like fine lines, things like pores, everything that you struggle with in your like 20s, like to early 30s. So I definitely recommend microneedling. And then as you get older, you know, there's so many products available, and, you know, alternative treatments like LED light therapy and, you know, lasers, which I think that is very overlooked, especially in South Africa. We kind of just go with like, you know, the usual cleanse, tone and moisturize, whereas I think that there's so much more that we can be doing for our skin. And I think it's very important to save up for, you know, treatments like this and treat yourself, even if it's just once a year, because it makes all the difference.
Fantastic. Rowena, you're truly such a wealth of information. I'm so sad to end the segment because there's so much more that I'd like to speak to you about, but I have no doubt we'll have you back on the show very soon again to talk about what else has been happening, and we will be following you very closely on social media to follow your journey as well.
Jazakallah so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Rowena Saluji is the very famous blogger from Secrets and Stilettos. If you haven't heard about her yet, it means you're not really on the internet. We've seen her all over and we've followed her journey for the last few years, and she has grown tremendously in leaps and bounds, and it's been such a pleasure to watch her, because not only is she inspiring to us, but she's also very inspiring to young ladies in their teens who are trying to find their feet around doing things, whether it's skincare or hair care or anything like that. Do follow her on her social media platforms. I will also be tagging her, so you will be able to find her very easily, and do sign up to her blog. All the information will be right at your fingertips. Stay tuned. When we come back, we have another surprise in store for you.
In any mishap, the weak suffer the most. The Al-Fida Foundation has been a life changer for hundreds of Muslim families in the Eastern Cape. Donate your zakat today to bring dignity to the many affected by tough economic conditions. Support our certified empowerment programs and daily feeding, highlighting the generosity of Islam to thousands. Support the Al-Fida Foundation. together and reaching communities. Here at Fashia Motors Verenigen, we make every effort to find you, our valued customer, the best possible used car to suit you and your every need. Our friendly sales staff will assist you from viewing and test driving your next premium selected vehicle. We also assist you in arranging finance with the most popular financial institutions. For buying or selling, vehicle financing and a view of our cars at our showroom, come in today or visit us online at www.fashiamotorssa.co.za. Planet Purple, summer happiness, 2 chickens or vegetarian tacos for only 49 rands 90 excluding steak. Classic smash burger at 49 rands 90 and get a Pepsi can for 4 rands 90. Call us on 031 207 1251.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. From one fabulous lady inspiring all of us, we have another dynamic young lady and her partner, both who are taking the Nasheed stage by storm. 2 people who have been on our show before and you are very familiar with, whose names you see all over, whose voices you hear all over, and who continue to make our hearts filled with the resonating sounds of their melodious voices. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Samiha Essa and Tariq Uwais Malinga. Welcome back to iTREND.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
It's good to have you both back here. You're seasoned iTREND guests. You're always here because both of you are always up to something. Samiha, tell us a little bit about why you're here today.
I'm launching my new video. It's called Salam and Salam.
Salam and Salam, that's amazing. And Tariq has been a part of this journey? Tell us a little bit about how did this start? How did this collaboration between you and Samiha begin?
Actually started a few years back. I went to visit her school, and then the principal introduced me to Samiha that, you know, there's this wonderful girl and she sings beautifully. So she actually sang for me one of her nasheeds, and then she gave me a copy of her CD. Alhamdulillah, a few months later, we met again at the, what is it again? What is it called?
One of the
Eid Festival.
Oh, Eid
Festival, yes.
Okay.
So that's when I met her and her parents, Samiha and her parents, and then we all sat down and said, you know what, we could work on something beautiful, inshallah. So unfortunately at that time I had to travel for a Nasheed concert in Malawi. And we were actually driving from here to Malawi. And I was listening to her CD the whole time.
Samiha's wow. CD is very addictive.
It's beautiful, it's beautiful. So as soon as I got back, that's when I was like, you know what? We have to meet. So we met and we sat down. I didn't want to actually, when we were working on Nasheed, we didn't want to work on something heavy because, you know, she's only 11 years old. So we wanted something light, you know. So I looked at her album. It talks a lot about the prophets, you know, from Adam alayhi salam to Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So this nasheed that we did is called Salam and Salam. It says peace be upon all the Anbiyas of Allah. So alhamdulillah, we worked it as a beautiful nasheed. It's actually a beautiful nasheed. It's a beautiful nasheed.
Samiha, as Tariq is saying, you're just 11 years old. You're this young, fabulous little lady. What makes you keep doing this? What keeps you inspired to keep wanting to put something out? Because most people would say, oh, well, I've done a first CD, I've already done that, so now I'm done.
I enjoy singing, and whenever I see people that love my CD, it makes me super happy.
Oh, my darling, I know so many people who love your CD, and one particular person who never takes it out of the CD compartment, we've actually asked him to stop singing it now. So, why start Salam and Salam?
It was a song that would add to my album, and I just liked the song a lot.
And what did you think about having to work with somebody like a brother Tariq? Were you excited about it? Because it's the first time is this the first time you've done a collaboration with someone?
Yeah, this is the first time, so I was really excited.
Was it exciting? That's excellent. And how did it work managing what your idea of it would be with his idea?
We had very similar ideas, so it wasn't too much of a problem.
That's excellent to hear. So it was a good collaboration all round. And Tariq, as you mentioned, you were very mindful of the fact that Samiha was much younger, and that was also all taken into account as well.
Because, you see, what I love, Samia have a beautiful voice. She have a beautiful voice, and when you're listening to her CD, you know, for me personally, some of the stories of the Sahabas and some of the stories of the Ambiyas, I didn't know them.
Yes.
I only, when I heard the what to call her CD, that's when I was like, wow, okay, so that's how the story goes. Okay, I didn't know. So today I know, you understand?
Absolutely.
So you get to learn from, even though you might think that it's just 11-year-old CD, but it's so powerful. It's so powerful. So I fell in love with the city. I fell in love with the city.
And Samia, that's something that I noticed always with your CDs is you put a lot of thought into it. Because this is not just something about singing, you're teaching a lot as well. Do you deliberately do that? I know you and your mom work very hard, but is this something that you actively think about to say that I want to teach something as well?
Yes, we do think about that because I feel like the whole Ummah needs to know about the stories of the Prophets.
Alhamdulillah. And what is your favorite story?
Dawood alayhi salam.
Tell me what makes that your favorite.
His melodious voice.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. And I think you're following suit because you do exactly the same. What was your favorite part about doing this video?
Was to be with all my friends and to have fun while doing the video.
Samia, you know, that stood out for me even the last time when you did your video and we launched it on the show, was the fact that you were so conscious about having everybody involved with you and including everyone. And it's alhamdulillah so wonderful to see that you're still exactly the same. You take everyone along in the same journey with you, because most people would turn around and say, it's my CD and I've done this. And your thing is, the most exciting part was having your friends to share it in with you. Alhamdulillah. May Allah always keep you as kind and as wonderful as you are.
Ameen.
Tariq, for you, was this the first video that you've been involved in?
There's been quite a number of videos.
So then what made this one stand out for you? What was special about this one?
I think the concept was one of the what you call the beautiful thing that stood out for me, because we were telling the history of Islam, or the history of the prophets, because we on the video we're just walking around to there's a museum at the Turkish Masjid. We're walking around observing, you know, there's such beautiful masajids and histories of the Prophet Muhammad, Prophet Dawood, Prophet Isa. You know, there's so much. If you go to the museum, there's so many things. So for me, besides just the video, there's so many things that I actually learned at the. To be honest with you, I actually didn't know the Turkish Masjid had a museum. I would get in there.
I didn't know that either, guys. So you're giving me a lesson.
Exactly. I would get in there, just go and make salah, chuma, finish khalas, out. But now when I get there, there's so many things that actually, so it gives you so much info about Islam. So besides the fact that it was very cold that day.
Is that what you remember as well?
Yeah.
It was cold. It was very cold. But the video came out beautifully. It came out beautifully. So, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So what we've got now is, we'd like to actually show this before we get to an ad break. Samiha, do you want to introduce your new video?
This is Salam and Salam by Samia Esa and Tariq Ismail.
Alhamdulillah. Let's watch. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the last segment of our show this week. We're chatting to the very dynamic duo who've just launched the new video CD, Tariq Malinga and Samiha Esa. We were watching that video, and what a well put together video. Obviously, whoever has done this video has had the same vision in mind, or executed the same vision that you wanted. Samiha, how did you come up with how you wanted the video to reflect the song you were singing?
I wanted it to reflect my friends, and I wanted it to reflect all about the Prophets and the masjid and the beauty of the masjid.
What was it about the masjid that made you want to have it filmed there?
I think it was the museum. The museum is beautiful.
Alhamdulillah, and I think now you're making us all want to go and see the museum. So you've obviously, I mean, to be able to work with a team to put that together, because singing a nasheed is one aspect of it, but turning that nasheed into a video is another aspect. I was saying to Samiha and Tariq off air, many of us are auditory, where we hear it and we enjoy it, but many children are visual, where they enjoy seeing the videos and they love seeing what comes from it.
Absolutely.
And I think it's so well put together that you've had such a dynamic team working with you on it. It's absolutely remarkable, mashallah. Was it fun working with all of them?
It really was.
What was your favorite part?
I think it was being with my friends and also walking through the museum.
So you now, when we all go through to the Turkish Museum, we need to be listening to your CD, your nasheed. Alhamdulillah. Would this be something that you'd want to do again in terms of having a collaboration and working with someone?
Yes, definitely.
How difficult or how easy is that to do?
It's quite easy and it's quite fun when you go into the recording studio.
Because there's somebody else there also who understands how difficult this job actually is. Hey?
Yeah.
Tariq, in terms from your side, to be able to work, I mean, as much as we keep saying Samiha is young, she's 11, Samiha is quite well established already. She's got a few nasheeds under, quite a few nasheeds under her name.
Absolutely.
She's already launched a CD. What was it like for you in terms of having a collaboration?
One thing that I can say is that, you know, when you're working with an artist or you're working with someone who's when you're working with a nasheed artist or you're working with an artist based on whatever that
Yes.
you're like working on, if you'll put your mind together towards or have the same vision, yes, it actually works better. It works better. So I think I had the idea that, you know what, if we could have the nasheed based on the ambiyas and giving salam, because it's something that it's something that she can actually easily relate to.
Yes.
So when I came up with that idea and said, you know what, let's do like that, and then she's like, okay, you know what, let's go with that. So we started going line by line, writing the nasheed line by line. Now in most cases, working with, you know, writing a nasheed like that, it tells you a lot about the person, that, you know, this person actually knows so much and can bring forward on the table, you understand? Now,
I think that's what most people don't understand, is that this isn't just the two of you singing this nasheed. There's writing that's been done by you as well, which is exceptionally
and each line we have to agree on.
Yes.
You understand? Each line we have to agree on. And till the end, when till the part where we're doing the video, we also have to agree, okay, which is the best, venue, and how should the video be, and from what time till what time, what's going to be happening, what do we need, and all that. You know, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, but as she said, it's so much fun when you're working with someone that you'll understand each other. Understand? So,
and I think we know that both your visions for nasheeds are the same, and that you really are about giving back into the communities, and that is truly remarkable. Samiha, what do we have to look forward? I mean, you're 11. And you have already achieved so much, alhamdulillah. I mean, I look at you and I'm in awe of how much you've achieved and how far your journey has brought you. And you are really still one of the most grounded and most respectable children I've ever come across. I have to say to you, whenever I see Samiha, regardless of where she's at or which event we're at, this is the young lady will always come up and make salam. So, and for me, that always says so much about who a child is and who a person is, because regardless of how much you've achieved and where you've come, your akhlaq is astounding. So alhamdulillah, may Allah always preserve that. And that's something that I've never gotten a chance to tell you that. And it's really something more than anything else that I'm so proud of you for, because you truly epitomize a very dignified Muslim young lady, and it's remarkable.
Jazakallah.
Ameen. Tell us what's in store for you going forward.
Inshallah, I'm going to be starting my new CD very soon.
Wow. So, do you ever stop, Samiha? Is there a break? Do you ever get to just relax? Or is this also fun?
This is also fun.
This is fun. So tell me, you've already got this next CD planned in your head?
Not exactly, but we're going to go start, and then we're going to go plan as we're going.
Why do you want to keep doing it? I know you mentioned earlier why you've done this one. But what is the reason why? Do you find that there's always something new to share, some new information to give?
Yeah, I do.
And what do you think your next one is going to be about? Any ideas yet? Are we allowed a sneak peek into what really your ideas are?
I think it's going to be about the wonderful woman in Islam.
Oh, mashallah.
Oh my goodness, that is my favorite topic under the sun. That is going to be amazing. I can't wait to actually hear that one. Alhamdulillah. And may we all be able to aspire to that, because I think you are a good reflection of where that would be as well. Alhamdulillah. So how soon is this going to be coming out?
I'm not sure about that.
Lots of planning to go into it. I think, you know what, I have no doubt that whatever you touch and whatever you do will always be a blessed initiative. So we're looking very forward to it, and we definitely want to have that launched here as well. Fantastic. Tariq, for you, where do you want to go? Where do we see Tariq from here?
What I can say is that on the 21st of April, I will be at the Accidental Muslim the conference.
The Unity Conference.
Yes, I will be there, inshallah. And then from there, I will be up and down with Zain. Alhamdulillah, it's a good opportunity. Yeah, I think that's from the 21st till maybe after Ramadan, inshallah. That is what I will be actually be busy with.
So we're looking forward to hearing you at the Unity Conference, inshallah.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. In terms of where Nasheeds are going, and I know this may not be a fair question for either of you, but do you see us as South Africans putting ourselves in the forefront of Nasheeds? Samiha, for you, if you look at what international artists are coming out with and what we're seeing, when I watch your video and I hear you and I hear Tariq, I know that we're in the forefront. I know that we are putting out world-class Nasheeds out there.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that no matter where you are, your Nasheed will be beautiful.
Alhamdulillah. And do you think you're reaching an audience bigger than just what's here in South Africa?
Yes.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Tariq, on your side?
On my side, what I can say, the Nasheed industry in South Africa is actually growing. Is actually growing, because looking back a few years, 5 to 3 years ago, 5 years ago, I would say, it was not like how it is now. You understand? I think maybe people are adapting to the fact that we also do have talent in South Africa, unlike before. So I think it actually is growing. So somehow I would say maybe in the next few years we'll be like the world. Will be like the world.
I think we're already there. I think we're putting out world-class things. When you only have to see that video and Samiha's previous videos to understand how much of work goes behind the scenes and how much of work goes into it. Samiha, I have to ask you, what is more fun, doing the Nasheeds or doing the videos?
The videos.
Videos. Okay, so, but how long does that take? That's a full day's process, right? That's not so easy as just what we see 3 minutes into the video.
Yeah.
And the editing,
absolutely.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
But a lot of fun. We see a lot of the clips on the screen at the moment as well. So as the screens and the visuals were coming up, Samiha saying, "That's my best friend. That's my cousin," and telling me everyone that was involved in it. Most important question for everybody that's watching at the moment. Your video has been screened on ITV already. We have heard it, not just on our show, but we've heard it generally on the channels as well. Most importantly, where is it available? How are people going to get their hands on this?
I'm not sure that Tariq knows.
Okay, at the moment, the video is only available on YouTube and available on ITV. We're still looking at other revenues where we can actually put the video. It should be available, and if you want a DVD or something like that, inshallah, we will work on that, inshallah.
Inshallah. But at the moment, people can, besides watching here, we'll have it from our iTREND segment as well, uploaded to YouTube.
Yes, absolutely.
And like you're saying, if people search onto YouTube, they should be able to find it.
Yes. It's called Salam and Salam Nasheed.
Salam and Salam. Alhamdulillah. I think with the messages of peace that you consistently give out, and with the humbleness and dignity that you both portray, there's no doubt that you're going to be giving a lot of peace into this world, inshallah.
Amen.
for both of you. Jazakallah so much for joining us on air today. It's been
Jazakallah for having
such a pleasure having you here. And Samiha, I think from all of us at iTREND, we are so honored to constantly be getting the opportunity to launch your CDs on our show. It means the world to us because you are so special to all of us. So we're very excited to always be a part of your journey and so grateful to you that you always include us in it.
Jazakallah for having me.
Oh, my darling, it's such a pleasure, Ameen. And we look very forward to waiting for your next one. And I want to hear all about it because, again, that's my absolute favorite topic. So I can't wait to see what you come out with.
Jazakallah.
Soon to be launched.
Soon to be launched. Stay tuned. We're having a big sign saying stay tuned. Tariq, Jazakallah to you as well for joining us in studio. It's always a pleasure hearing your stories. And I think the one thing about Tariq is we see the Nasheed artist, and recently when he was prepping for the Unity Conference and I was getting to interview him for the panel, I learned so much more about him and the story behind him. And if you are in awe of him, you know nothing yet, wait until you're sitting at that conference and you hear him. I wish you both the best of luck, inshallah, and we look forward to following your journeys.
Ameen, ameen.
Jazakallah.
I don't know if it's just something about South African talent or if it's about Nasheed artists, but there's a humbleness and a dignity that is all pervasive with them. And it's so inspiring to be in their company because not only are we taking knowledge from them, not only are we being surrounded by their blessed voices that truly will echo into the heavens, inshallah, but these are people who akhlaq comes across in such a humbling manner that we can do nothing but look at them, no matter what their age is, and be inspired by them. Download that video, follow them on their social media platforms, both Samiha Essa and Tariq Awais Malinga. Their journeys are awe-inspiring, and I tell you this repeatedly every time they're on their show. This is not the last we will hear from them. It'll be years to come, inshallah, and many, many more journeys that we will be following with. Jazakallah so much for joining us on air today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Do follow the likes of these strong women who are also all over social media, many women that we can take from. And we look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام